share as we move into this next phase of existence on the planet. Um, my lineage is Micmac and African. My Micmac African grandmother married a Frenchman they went back and forth from Canada to North Carolina, where he ultimately met my grandmother, a Cherokee and Yoruba woman. We are of the Wolf Clan Utata tribe of the Cherokee Nation, and we have our, we fought for the right to be on the rolls, and we still fight for the right to acknowledge our indigenous roots. And so here I am on Muncie Lenape land in the Hudson Valley of New York, and I say welcome. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here. Um, I've been asked to share my perspective on permaculture, so I'm going to give a definition, and I'm going to share my perspective within the context of how I came into permaculture, because there are layers to that. So, my definition of permaculture is actually that it's colonized indigenous land management. And why do I say it's colonized indigenous land management? Because the history of the colonized experience that we have been having for the past 500 years, there are two elements that are consistent and unique to this colonizing experience. The first thing these colonizers do is they separate you from spirit and the power of women simultaneously. They declare war on spirit and women's power. And they try to separate our reality into sacred and secular, which I think is like absurd. It's like, how do you take your breath and separate it from your body? Well, when that happens, you're no longer here. Oh, well. So anyway, we do the best we can with what we've been given. So how did I come into permaculture? I was actually introduced to permaculture at the same time I became aware of the climate crisis. That was during Hurricane Katrina. In fact, permaculture was presented to me as a solution to the climate crisis. Uh, I had done some radio programming and a lot of things to help the survivors because I have deep roots in Louisiana. So I had done all that work. I was on the ground in a healing arts center, and volunteers came to remediate the soil using permaculture techniques. And there was so much joy as these people were, remediating the soil. It made me reflect back to just 3 months prior to that. I had produced an environmental arts camp for middle school age boys. And we were on 80 acres of land. In 1 week residential camp, these boys made a profound personal adjustment. The land had restored their souls, and it was just profound. I had determined to do all of my ministry in nature. And so here I was in New Orleans where people were restoring the land. And so at that point, I became aware that the soil and our human souls are interwoven in inexplicable, you cannot separate the two. And so when I finished that experience in New Orleans, I, of course, went and got my permaculture certification. I happened to go to Tennessee, where a person from the farm was a co-producer of that particular event. And as the first day when they were explaining the 7-layer forest system, my jaw just went, oh my God. I immediately saw the book of Genesis in that 7-layer forest system. I saw God planting a garden with trees that were beautiful to look at and trees good for food and medicines all in the same place. That's what the scriptures tell us. And so so permaculture was pointing us back to God's original design for how the planet is supposed to operate. And so we already know as indigenous people that the human soul is a mirror imprint of nature. And so it's within that garden setting, when it's full and complete in all its layers, that we learn how to be community, and we learn how to hold unique functions. We don't have to all be the same people, have the same personality, but we learn how to harmonize that by looking at how does the forest harmonize itself. We learn to be regenerative communities and nations by looking at how does the forest organize itself so that no one else has to fertilize, no one else has to water that space. And so that's how I came to understand permaculture. It's God's original design, and which means that there's spirit in it. And so if you try to take the spirit out, it falls apart. And I think that's one of the struggles that we're having in permaculture. I remember in permaculture that there's a lot of, what do they call it, woo woo. You know, the men who are teaching would say, ooh, that's woo woo, woo woo. You know, it's no spirit allowed. Okay, well, all right. So I'm finding that as I am growing deeper into my own indigenous roots and practice of land management, that I'm not able to be in permaculture spaces because there are just so many barriers to this original design. That's kind of my experience. So I don't. This may even be my last permaculture presentation because it really it's difficult, and I have work to do. I'm called now to be the voice of Mother Nature in the environmental movement, and so I need to gather around those people who are ready, who want to be a part of the original design, and who are ready to move it forward. This crisis has already shown us that Mother Nature listens very quickly. In 30 days around the world, we had clear skies in places that had not been cleaned for generations. You guys, this is not rocket science. Even Bill Mollison says that permaculture is embarrassingly simple. That's what he says. And so I say that the problem with decolonization is embarrassingly simple. You know, just stop. But I will say, to give you a practical solution, and then I'll pass it to the next person, just decolonize your lawn. Okay, lawns were brought over here by the British. Okay, there's nothing natural about them. I won't go into all of this and that, but if everyone here went back home and got 9 other people, so there were 10 of you in your neighborhood where you live, and all of you put your lawn back into its original ecosystem, that would be a phenomenal impact. We have 70 million acres of lawn across this United States. If everyone just changed your lawn, we would be through with this climate crisis. Okay? Redeeming the soil will automatically redeem the human soul. And that's all I have to say.